evening. I'm your host, Erica Nicole Mason. Welcome to the Purple Mic. I'm joined tonight by my amazing, amazing cast, Dr. Benjamin Moore, Lashana, and Lewis. How are you guys doing tonight?
What's
Good.
up?
Hello,
What's
hello.
happening?
Doing good,
Good,
doing
good.
good. Tonight we are discussing Miss Independent. We just had a beautiful, beautiful series, and we hope that you guys will continue to leave your feedback. We've been talking about hypergamy. And we want to thank our guest, Marian, for stopping by. It was a great, great show. And we really appreciate the huge support that you guys have been giving us with the views. Thank you so much. So tonight's conversation is going to be an interesting one. And feel free to chime in at any point. Let us know your thoughts. If you have not already, please head over to our YouTube. There you can find seasons 1 through 3. We ask that you please subscribe, comment, like, and share the videos out. Some great material on there. And our Instagram, of course, where you can read on all the bios and get to know your favorite panelists. Let's go ahead and define Miss Independent. I'm going to put Miss Lashana first.
All right, so Miss Independent. Well, just the word independent means, self-sufficient. You pretty much do everything on your own. You don't have any help. You're not asking for help. And it just has a mindset of, I can do it myself, so what do I need you for? And a lot of women, we do tend to be that way.
Okay, so I'm going to get the gentleman's take on this one. Lewis, can you tell me more about Miss Independent from your viewpoint, your stance?
My mom, I grew up both my parents. My mom ruled the house. I mean, what she said went, and the money came to her because my mom didn't work a day in her life, and she was very independent. What she did with the tools she was given was magical, and I think we missed that point when it has to mean I can get it all by myself, but not really understanding the interdependence about who a woman is, that she can do so many things with anything she puts her hand into. She don't have to say, I'm independent. No need. If she has to shout that, and then there's something wrong with that picture. Because I really believe a woman, especially a Black woman, will take anything given to them and what they have and make it into something from nothing. So that's my idea of what I look at my mom as being a married woman, independent because she stood her ground. She knew what she wanted, but she collaborated with my dad. It wasn't his way or the highway. It was, hey, let's look at this a different way because I'm good at this. And let me show you what I can do with this with your kids. And with that being said, my father threw his hands up. And I think most men will succumb to that type of woman without her beating it in the face.
True.
So,
all right, Dr. Ben.
I think Lewis said something that was really, really on point. He used the word interdependence. And so, and Lashana, actually, another word, she said self-sufficient. So those two terms kind of stuck out to me. A woman that's independent, at least in the contemporary sense of what we see today, they will be to the point where they're so self-sufficient that they don't at all subscribe to any sort of interdependence. And to the point where they're not cooperative. And that's the biggest thing. Like they get to the point where it's like, you can't tell me nothing. And that's the issue. Like, I don't think any man has a problem with a woman being self-sufficient, you know what I'm saying, and choosing to be interdependent. You know what I'm saying? But the issue becomes that they get so wrapped up in, I want to be the boss, can't nobody tell me nothing. They be on that Kanye stuff, that when a man actually comes in their life and it's time for them to either, one, be interdependent, or, I mean, dare I say, what's the S word, submit, right? They will not, they won't at all be willing to do that, because it is a marker of, or it is an attack on their independence. You know what I'm saying? And then in that way, it becomes like I said, the bad word. So submission, interdependence, codependence, even though codependent has kind of a negative connotation to it. But, you know, again, I think the word interdependence is the perfect word, because you have the ability, at least in the way that I conceptualize it, you have the ability to be dependent and self-sufficient, but you're choosing to be in a cooperative space with another person, and you take your dependencies and intertwine them. And so, and to me, that's what men want, we want. I mean, I think most men would like to have a woman that, as to Lewis' point, can take and grow things. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like, not to get too biblical, like Eric, I always like to say, but like the parable of the talents. You know what I'm saying? You like to have the talents, right? You take those talents and you grow them. That's what we all want to have to do. You don't want to bury them. And you want to have a woman that can take the things that you give her and grow them. And so there's nothing wrong with that. Every man wants that in some way, even if it's, to Lewis's point, to his storyline, even if it's strictly in the household. You want your woman to be able to, like you said, run the house. Like that's her domain. I think Mariam said something interesting last week about the men running the community and the women running the house. And that's how you want it. That's why you want your woman to be able to grow in that way. And so again, there's nothing wrong with a woman being self-sufficient, but when it comes to when she's so self-sufficient to where she's not coachable, you can't tell her nothing, and she's not cooperative, that's when it's an issue.
And just not to just to chime in, it's a struggle because you're really fighting against society norms, because society says, women don't do much. It's a man's world. She don't get the recognition for the things she do. She's not up there in a person. And it almost seemed like the things that women do doesn't get recognized.
Right.
And whether it's education, whether if it's running a business and stuff like that, the man always get that, this is who he is, instead of, women being more recognized for being the first woman to do this or head this up. It's not a big deal. It's a big deal, but it's not a big deal, right? It's like, So I think society, because then in your home, it ain't necessary that you have to show the world what type of boss and all this that you are. Because if your children respect you, your husband respects you, your family respects you, understand the things that you've done and continue to support you and praise you, who cares what the world think? And I'm not getting the recognition as a woman that I need in front of the world. And I think sometimes, and I could be wrong with this, and I like to just straddle the line. I think from a Christian standpoint, I think God really looks at things like that, because if anything that interferes with the family and the structure and what he has designed and what needs to grow within, there are going to be issues with that. And I really think if we don't get it together, just like the talents, listen, I'm giving you the talent, you have this, what are you doing with it? Are you want to be so prideful that you want the world to see you doing this, that you succumb your family, or that you suppress your husband, your children, you got somebody else taking care of them, and it becomes a problem. Whether if you're a single parent home or not, I really think we the society kind of makes things in this such a ball that it seems like you have to play within that ball. If you ain't playing within that ball, then you ain't playing. Right. And you almost seem left out.
Lewis said something pretty interesting about society, right? And it's almost like in America, we're living in two different worlds. We have Black America and you have everybody else's America, right? In a lot of cases. When I look and see how, feminism operates in everybody else's community, it's totally different than how feminism works in the Black community, right? When you look at how, Black, this whole "I don't need a man, I can do all bad by myself," all those types of monikers. I'm sorry, those types of battle cries, rather. I only hear them in the Black community. I don't hear Asian women, Hispanic women, Indian women, India from like the country India, Native, I don't hear white women. I mean, no other women say those things but Black women. You know what I'm saying? And that's not and I know I love y'all. Y'all are the goddesses of the universe, but that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I only hear that in Black women. And this thing is, Black women aren't even the progenitors of the feminist movement. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they taken on the mantle of being like the champion of feminism to the point where it has alienated them with us. Now, there's a lot of other factors to that. Don't get me wrong, and that's not just to single out Black women in the sense that they cause that, because there are a lot of societal factors and community factors that created that. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about social welfare, deindustrialization of our communities, all these economic issues, a lot of things cause the rifts between the Black man and Black woman. But one of the I guess symptoms of some of those societal things is that Black women are taking on this, like I said, this mantle of we're going to be the champions of feminism to the point where we're just going to totally alienate, and not all Black women. These are, to use Marian's word, broad brushstrokes, but brushstrokes. Thank you, broad brushstrokes. But with that being said, like, again, the issue that's one issue I have seen, and it's very is I think it's more starkly. It's more poignant in our community for whatever reason. Well, I know for the reasons, but that is what it is. So.
Yeah, totally. Statistically, it's been stated that women who are independent, it's oftentimes hard for them to find a partner. Why would it be difficult for a successful independent woman to find a partner, Lashana?
It's because they take on that masculine energy. They're very strong. They're not compromising. They don't want to, there's no give and take. It's either my way or no way. You either fit my schedule. I'm not fitting your schedule. You got to do what I want to do. I mean, even in movies, if you look at it, when you see a Black independent woman, you see there's multiple movies where you can see a Black woman. She's in that strong role, and it's hard for her to, to find someone. It's hard to watch because I used to be in that category of having I can do it myself. No, thank you. I got to go to work. Nope, not taking a day off. I don't have to be, I'll see you when I see you. That type of, mentality and not wanting to give and take, not wanting to compromise about anything. And it was either my way or the highway. I didn't want to be dealing with you if you couldn't,
you feel like a lot of this was based on pathology or just history alone?
Well, the thing of it is that I was taught that in so many words, watching my mom, even though my mom was married to my dad, but prior to my mom marrying my dad, she was very much so independent. She worked and she did everything on her own. She didn't ask for help.
So it was model behavior.
Right. So it was model behavior. She didn't say you don't need a man, but her actions showed that. So when my dad did come along and they did, get into a relationship or reconnect and they got married, I did see it was a lot of arguments or turmoil sometimes with the whole submission type of thing, because even hearing that word at one point, my mom would be like, "Oh, submit to who? Why?" That type of, even with that type of energy with your body language,
bad word.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. It's a bad word.
Right.
That's the S word. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lewis, as I move over to you, why, in your opinion, why is it difficult for a successful woman who's independent to find a partner?
I'll look at our celebrities first. I'm going to try to do something real quick. So if you look at our celebrity Black women who are on the TV, the mainstream TV, we always see them in strong roles. But guess what? Whoever's the producer always seem to put them in the role where they break down. Does that make sense? So if you think about it, look at all the movies, look at all the Black shows, the Black movies, whatever. She's a lawyer, she's strong, her friends and all that. And then next, you always see a clip of something where she's breaking down, whether she's drinking wine, she's crying, she can't take it, she's vulnerable. They always show that. You very rarely you see that with white actors or white women. They stay the role. They maintain a role. They'll be, intimate with a man. They always have sex. They gotta have sex on the mountain. They got time for sex.
They about to die. They about to have some sex.
But you'll never see the
get that last one in.
Breaking down because of no relationship.
Right.
All of our movies.
Yeah.
Granted, it is about relationship. It is about family. It's about all those things. But you show them breaking down somewhere, somehow, which kind of puts that she can be strong, but I know she really isn't that strong.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes, and Black men know that. We know that our women are vulnerable when they come around a strong man who understands what he's doing, who opens his arm, who puts her in a position where she can just woosah. We know that. So sometimes, even with the strongest Black women, men just really think that, come on, you don't have to be like that.
Right.
You don't have to be like that with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we could be together, just me and you, and I can hear you, and you can let that masculine, strong, whatever, let that go. Just be you and let me hear you.
Yeah.
But because of what society has brung in, it's hard for a woman to be so strong in the public and then not still portray that
That
in
same
the
type of
home.
energy.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think that becomes an issue. It really does.
Yeah. Okay. And so, Ben, I'm going to move over to you with another question. Is a strong, independent woman a turn off to men?
It can be, depending on her cooperative space. Kind of to Lewis's point, it made me think of a Andre 3000 song, or at least a verse. He said, "Take off your cool," on the Love Below album. I think we all, especially as men, especially if you done a little research or done a little studying on on our history and stuff like that. I understand why Black women in particular have to sometimes be that, and we were systematically divided as in terms of our families and stuff like that, and women had to step up. I commend Black women in a lot of respects for that, and so it's no mystery why a lot of Black women have to be the provider, the protector, and everything. Have to be the whole kit and caboodle in their families. It makes sense. I think now the real challenge now is to be able to relinquish that, and to Lewis's point, be able to be okay with being vulnerable and allowing a man to come in their lives and provide and protect for them, or at least co-protect and co-provide with them. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. So to your actual question, it's not a turn off for me unless she's not cooperative or coachable. If I can't, if I see something that I feel could be better in her life, and I can't explain to her why, I'm not trying to change you, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you should be able to want to elevate. And that's the thing. Like, some women get so caught, they ain't finna change me. Okay, I'm not trying to change you, but if you're going to grow and elevate, then there is going to be some change. Like, I'm not trying to change to your detriment. Yeah, but there's going to be some elevation, and in terms of your growth and your elevation, yeah, you're going to have to change. You got to be able to listen. You got to be able to take critique. I'm not trying to brash you or bring you down, baby girl. I love you. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to build you up. I see something that you could be better at. If you can't be coachable in that way, then I don't want to deal with it, because I want the same from you. If you feel like there's something that what I'm saying, that I could be better at, and if you bring it to me in a loving, sweet way, absolutely. You're supposed to be my ace. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be my go-to, my confidant, my chief advisor. With that being said, it's only, for me, again, to reiterate, it's only an issue in terms of independence if she can't be interdependent, and she doesn't choose to be interdependent, and she's not coachable, and she can't take my advice.
But I also think it's like I said, it's how a woman is raised, like as a child, because I do hear a lot of women say, I'm independent, I don't need a man. And then sometimes I do wonder, like, how come I haven't met that person? It's because, like, yeah, because you mean, like, your mouth is reckless. It's reckless. There's a time and a place. You don't have to be combative every single time. Like, he brings something to your attention. You don't have to be combative. You don't have to. And it's like, you don't have to always be like, oh, we're going to talk about this like right now. Like, okay, so in front of all of our family, we're going to have this conversation like right now.
Or if you've ever seen that meme where it's like the father and the husband get into it. And
right. Right. Who you going to go with?
Go get in the car. The daddy's like, get around.
Right. Who you going to go
in the car? That's my husband.
Like, it's not that hard. It's not that difficult, because even for family functions, when you have significant others come over, and it's like, oh, are you gonna put some play? I don't know, he got his own two legs, and it's like, I'll be like this.
Yeah. So you're in a relationship with someone who wears the pants when you're dealing with power struggles and gender roles in a woman not staying in her place. Can you elaborate on that, Lewis?
I will tell you, it will probably be short-lived. Just being honest, because no matter how much money you have, no matter how much whatever it is, if you have to even talk about who wears what or who's allowed to do anything, you're gonna have a problem. I don't care what it is, because with any relationship comes complacency. And if you don't understand what complacency is in a relationship, somebody gets to the point where they get too comfortable. And then when I feel like, as a man, that you've gotten too comfortable, or she feel as a woman that I've gotten too comfortable, you start to speak your mind and do whatever that's necessary.
Mhm.
So I don't think I think it's not necessarily even a compromise. I think this one guy to white guy, and I asked him one time, he was married for about 45 years.
Mhm.
So I said, how are you and your wife? Like, what is it? What's the secret? He said, there's no secret. He said, let me be honest with you. I try to outdo her. He said, I simply try to outdo her in love. Like if she buy me something, I'll try to buy something even better. If she make me dinner, I'll wake up early and make her breakfast.
Aw.
Something different to keep it. Whereas, you know what? I'm on to you.
Mhm.
Right.
You try to make me feel good. Nah, I'm trying to make you feel good.
You know what? That's pretty dope. Like if you're gonna compete in love, like
Right. You know
don't
what I'm
compete in
saying?
money, don't compete in
And-
I get
Thank
it.
you. Not with one another. Not with
And,
one
he said-
another.
and not for nothing. So listen, there were times where things didn't work, where they had to restructure. But he said we always revisit where we are because we've changed.
It's that
He said
check-in.
if you don't have revisiting promises you make to each other, then
Mhm.
your relationship will get lost.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You have to find a time to revisit it, even when they don't feel like revisiting it. Just have a conversation because things will start coming up. Things will get comfortable. And if you're honest with each other and you want to fix it and you want to really stay together and be together, listen, you find ways to do things that are just so far past and people don't understand why y'all still together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you define and give
Yeah,
us
that's
some
dope.
examples of that, Lewis?
I've interviewed a lot of older folk, especially after I really got into this quest of this whole men loving right and what we can do different and how we can love our family and vice versa, how women can understand where a man is coming from and trying to do it right. So there are a few things. So number one, letters. They write letters. Listen, you get to the point where sometimes you can't talk
Mhm.
because you
Mhm.
need to do something different.
Yeah.
And a letter will have someone sitting down, looking at your letter and absorbing everything that you're saying without you even thinking about what to say. Because when it's good, if your man write a letter to you, you want to know. See what I'm gonna see what he wrote for me. I want to see what he's talking about.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know what I
Right.
mean?
Like
And
you back when you was in high school. Passing me
you
like
become so absorbed because not for nothing, women, y'all love reading.
Right.
You do, and writing. So
yeah.
you gotta play to each other's strength. And that's one thing they did together. They wrote certain things when they couldn't verbally speak. And not necessarily called each other throughout the day. I know sometimes when you're younger, you can do that. But as you start to get older and you start to understand your mate, you really start to understand what it is that's not necessarily a surprise, but that you remember. Because
Mm.
most relationships is about, I need you to remember who I am to you.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And don't forget that. Don't forget what I am to you, what I am to this family, especially from a male perspective. When women start to sometimes talk out of the craziness, don't forget who I am as a man to this family. You will
Yeah.
destroy
Hey,
that because of your mouth.
exactly. Hey,
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And that could
listen.
cause everything to go left or right. Same thing with a woman. A man cannot come home and destroy his home after she been in it, taking care of it, hooking it up, loving it up. You coming in and you banging it up.
Yeah.
Nothing needs to be fixed here, honey. We got this. Come, you know what I'm saying? Come with love and come with understanding and understand
Absolutely.
who I am as a woman to this family, not just to you, but to this family, to the structure. And that's where it comes
Facts.
from.
Dropping them jewels.
Look at Erica's face. She's just like, oh my gosh.
Lewis, that was amazing. Thank you, as always. Our next question: do men prefer an independent woman who can do everything herself, or a woman who has no job career but gives him an opportunity to take care of her? Ben?
I don't know about anybody else. Like I put like this. It's kind of spectral for me. As long as I have the means. Like if you know what I'm saying, I'm balling. I can take care of it all and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's different parts of your life. Like I think Mari said it last week. Like I know what it's like to be broke in a relationship. and I ain't got the ability to do those things. So in that particular respect, I ain't had no choice but to be with somebody that we can kind of co-do it. But let's say all things aside, like I'm in a position where I have the ability to like take care of a woman. Like I've said before, like I'm fine with that. You know what I'm saying? Like I even if like she has her own, if I have the ability to, yeah, I'll take care of the bills and all stuff like that. My thing is about, like, and I said this in another episode, it's about her passion. You know what I'm saying? If she's passionate about like being a homemaker and she want to be home with the kids, and you know, when I come home, she want to have my slippers and all that, you know, that whole nine, beautiful. I love it, baby. Look, you know, you have had a thing ready for me when I get home, and I'm gonna take care of it when I get home, right? Wonderful. That's great. If she's an entrepreneur though, and she got her own thing going on like that, then I'm gonna support that too though. You know what I mean? So I would want her to follow her passions, whether it be a homemaker or, you know, a businesswoman. But regardless of whatever, if she's a businesswoman, though, she still got to be a lady, though. She still got to be my lady. She still got to, be okay with and desire to submit and be vulnerable enough and comfortable enough with me to submit and, you know, be coachable and, you know, interdependent and that type of thing like that. So it's really, those are the real factors. Whether she can provide, you know, the provision part is up to her, but the interdependent part, that's non-negotiable. You know what I mean?
When we start discussing salaries and a woman making more than her husband, how is a woman coachable if she's bringing home more money? She may have longer hours at work, and the gender roles start to turn. Dad has to cook, dad has to spend more time with the kids. Do you feel emasculated? Do you start feeling compromised?
I've actually been in that situation in my last relationship. Like I was making good money, but she had just got promoted to like the manager of her department. And it was like, you know, she was making a lot more money than me, although I had more disposable income and I was paying more bills. Like I was paying like 60%, you know. So so even still, and that's kind of a situation, like let's say it was that and she was paying most of everything or whatever like that. I can see where in a man's mind that could kind of, you know, maybe mess with him psychologically. It's really more so on the woman to reaffirm her man to be like, listen, although this is the case right now, you're still a man in this house. Because at, you know, my biggest thing is in terms of masculinity and femininity, provision, we can, both a man and a woman can provide. You know what I'm saying? Even in hunter-gatherer days, although men were out hunting, you know what I'm saying, hunting the whatever the game was, the women were still in the field. So we were both providing. We were just providing our own ways. My provision was more dangerous. I had to be out there fighting with wildebeest and all that other stuff like that. But she was in the garden, you know what I'm saying, getting the herbs, you know what I'm saying, everything like that. So again, we were both providing. The biggest thing in terms of like for me, the primary function between masculinity and femininity is protection for the man, for the masculine, and nourishing for the feminine. You know what I'm saying? That's the ground, that's the foundation for both of the genders for me. And so in that respect, if somebody run up in the house, that's my response. That's my primary responsibility. If we out, it's my primary responsibility to protect my family. When we're at home, it's her primary responsibility to nourish the family, nourish me, you know, bring the love, bring the tenderness, bring all those things, bring the softness, and allow to Lewis's point earlier, the vulnerability to commence in the relationship, because really it's the woman who provides the environment for everybody to be vulnerable, even herself. If a woman is okay with being vulnerable, then it allows the man to be okay with being vulnerable. Now, not every now, don't get me wrong, not every man can recognize that, and sometimes when women are vulnerable, they'll, you know, they might take that as like, you know, they might look at her in a certain light because of that. But if a man is really about being, you know, true to understanding a woman, he understands that when she's vulnerable and she brings that ability to be vulnerable, then it allows him to be vulnerable, and we can all be human in that respect. So
Absolutely. I'm going to challenge this conversation. I want to go back a few weeks ago. We had an in-depth discussion, Jessica, LaShawna, Ben, Jelana, and myself. The comment was an independent woman can be married. Was that the statement precisely? Or okay, LaShawna, help me out. It
was around that. You got to kind of that. She said that.
What do you mean by that?
Here.
What was said was I can still be an independent woman and still be married. Is what she said. I can still be an independent woman and still be married. But her take on independency was I can still
Shrug that off.
provide and do everything myself. I don't need him to do anything, to pay for anything. I got this.
I had to go to the dictionary first and foremost. I mean, like when you have an
Yes, you
argument like that, you want to, you know, to be
Yes, you
independent
do.
is to not be in subjection to someone else's authority. So, are you saying that you're independent inside a marriage, which means that you will not submit to your husband? So, if he's leading you and he's head of household and he says that this is his program and this is the way he wants it, you're telling him that you're going in this direction while he's going in that direction. How are you married? How does that work? How are you in unison? So, Lewis, chime in and let me know your thoughts on that. I'm curious.
I'm curious that if you remove the money, what would the situation look like?
Ooh.
Oh,
And the reason why I said that is because would she still say that she's independent? Because here's what's happening now to this day. You have a lot of people who are in relationships who are single. And what that
yeah.
means is their mind frame has not changed
Changed.
from who I am as an individual and what I want to do and how I want to do this. You have not entered the us and the we can do and we can build. You've not gone into that. You've gone into I can do with whether I'm with you or without. So take what you want.
Right.
Then you're not really looking for a relationship because you're removing all the ingredients that makes a beautiful cake that tastes so good. If that makes sense. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're trying to make a cake and you're cutting your own piece out. You're taking the big piece and you're walking away without taking the piece, feeding each other, tasting it, playing around, enjoying the cake that you make. So that's why I asked the question, because I think in this day and age with some of the independent women, they're taking money as the overall Superman cape as why they feel like they're independent. You don't need money to be independent. You don't need, to show this superhero person you are to be independent. You could do so many different things that bring recognition and understanding to you as a woman in a relationship, in your community, with your family, without thinking, I got the money, I'm going to say what I want to say regardless. That's a bad omen.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes a lot of men, they just be like, all right, whatever. Do what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? All right, cool. You got it, because there's plenty of women. And for men, we don't need much. Honestly, we really don't. We do a lot for women.
Simple.
Give me a nice crib. Give me a nice box home with a mattress and a PlayStation game and some food. I'm gonna be good.
Good loving.
But because we know the beauty of a woman, she loves decoration. She loves nice things. She loves feeling empowered. That's why we gain all this stuff to make her world better. And if a woman really understood that, then she wouldn't have to go out and break her neck to be so strong and to really put down. You don't have to suppress, I don't need a man for you to be an independent woman. And I think that's what's happening.
And it's interesting. This kind of goes back to the point we were talking about hypergamy. I was so ready for this conversation to happen because I think on the surface level, the general conception of hypergamy in that biologically it's a biological imperative for women to choose the best mate. Absolutely true. What I was so looking for and I thought was going to be so interesting, and I don't think maybe we didn't touch on as much as we could have, but maybe in future episodes we could, but to understand the value systems from each individual woman, you know what I'm saying? Because the way in which women select a mate, that was what I found really to be the more critical aspect for us to explore, because Marian's point was the entry point is finance. That his point was like, hypergamy exists and the entry point is finance. And to a lot of women, that's the truth, right? But from what I've heard from individual conversation with each of you and, just conversation in general, there is a lot of women, finance is the baseline. Like, that's not the entry point. Like, it may be something else. Like, I know, Erica's is spirituality, right? You know what I'm saying? Your entry point is like, you gotta be spiritual first and all the other stuff comes out later, right? A lot of women I think the 8-figure ninja mentality, that is for a lot of women, right? A lot
Right.
of women are on that, but
Right.
for a lot of conversations I've had with women, that's not their entry point. That's not their baseline.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I said all that to say that, when it comes to the independent woman, and to Lewis's point about finances being her her marker of her status, or her marker of her independence, and everything, it's because, again, a lot of women, society has placed so much emphasis on finances being this entry point
Right.
to status and power, as opposed to all these other factors.
Yeah.
All these other, like, you could be, my philosophy is the four elements, right? Spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, right? So all those things have to be nourished. Finances plays a part in that, because it informs, it helps influence the physical, because you have to have a roof over your head and everything like that. Also with the emotional, because you want to feel emotionally stable, mental, all these other things. But it's a secondary element, or secondary aspect of these fundamental elements to which I base my relationships and my entry points. So again, hypergamy in and of itself, biologically speaking, absolutely true. But again, I'm very much interested in hearing what these value systems, and that's why I kept emphasizing that value systems. What are the value systems? What are the
Yeah.
value systems by which women are really selecting mates?
Yes.
It just depends.
Absolutely.
Like you said, like for Erica, hers is spirituality. For mine is intellectual part and the emotional connection that I can, build with you, and how we vibe and how we get along with one another. So I think it's just different for everyone. But it also depends on what type of woman you decide that you want to be with.
Mhm.
What type of woman that
Facts.
you're accepting. In a sense. So you have to take a look at that, because I even from the show, I realized, like, yeah, music does influence a lot of things. I can remember when I was working and I was a center director, I was making money, and and Neo came out with that song Miss Independent. That was my jam. I blasted
That
that
song has been
song
in my head ever since I heard
for
that song.
so long. I can literally, I can remember my future mother telling me, like, Shauna, you're not you're very much so dependent. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm very submissive. She was like, no, you're not. She's like, you think you are, but you're not. And I was like, what do you mean?
It's interesting too, Ben. I do want to explore what you said earlier about getting the ladies together and discussing that further, because there's something in either our background or what we are lacking or what we dream of having, like future forward, that allows us to cultivate these feelings and what we need in our partnerships. I know when I say spiritual, it's not just Bible based; it's more someone who's spiritually
Right.
conscious, excuse me, and aware. Oh, that ignites me. But I think it's similar to the love languages. Just because we might have one love language doesn't mean that exclusively is the way that you have to love
Right.
me. Like it could be 2 and 3. For me, it's all 5 because I still love gifts.
Thinking down on me.
Yeah, so we have to explore that. We definitely need to explore that. What does a man mean when he tells a woman she's too independent? So you're arguing, and it's like, you know what, woman?
Dude, don't listen. Listen. Can't tell you nothing. I know it's okay. So it's contextual. A little bit is contextual, but across the board, what I can see is that it's really between two kind of polarities. One is, like I was saying before, the woman is not coachable, and that you can't tell her anything. She can't be reasoned with in some point. Her mind can't be changed. She's hard headed. She can never be wrong. She can't apologize, those types of things. The other one is like, she won't allow the man to do anything for her. If he wants to support her in some way, whether it be financial or otherwise. I want to come over, like, I see something wrong at your house. I might want to fix it. Oh no, I got it. Okay. All right. We drive. I'm gonna put some car or some gas. No, I got it.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Please let me pump the gas.
Do you have to be in a relationship to allow a man to do those things for you? Because they say that men, we said this last week in hypergamy, men need to feel wanted and needed. So if we're just dating, is it important for me to say, hey, look, could you put some air in my tire, or I have this ceiling fan that needs to, come out?
I put it like this. It might be one of those things where you might mention it, and a lot of times he'll be like, well, I'll take care of that for you. Or, if you mention it, he'll volunteer his services, basically.
So that's not advantageous. It's actually a good thing that you're making him feel needed.
Yeah, in a lot of senses. Now, this where it can get a little sticky because some women can take advantage of men in that respect, and so you want to have that balance between like, okay, it's not like something simple as tying your shoelaces or something like that. It's actually something that you actually really need help with, and you might mention it to him, and then he'll volunteer. And not taking advantage of him, not being reciprocal, because it might be something that he may need. Maybe you are fixing his plate, maybe you are cooking for him, maybe you are doing those feminine nurturing things that he wants, and he may do those other things. You know what I'm saying? Again, that's definitely a balance. But I know for me, I'm less concerned about those kind of pragmatic elements like that, where it's like like ceiling fans and things of that nature. I'm more so about the cooperative piece. You know what I'm saying? Like, is she not so independent to where she cannot be told anything? And that makes my skin crawl sometimes when I hear that.
Yeah. I said, you must really irk you because you just said that like.
It's been. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Listen,
another hand. Get another hand. Get another hand. Get another hand. Yeah.
One thing about a man is that if a man really wants you, likes you, or into you, he observes you. He observes your surrounding. He observes what you do when you get in his car. When he get in your car for whatever reason, he's looking at your car. He's in your car. He's very observant about what can he do to, you know what I'm saying, to impress. This is why sometimes.
That is so true. Oh my God, that is so true. Literally, when a guy gets in, okay, so I'm notorious for this. I don't change my clocks when the time changes. I don't know why. I just don't. I don't know how to do it, and I just never do it. The guy gets in, and he's just like, how long has that been like that? And literally changes. I'm like, thank you. That is so true.
It really is the truth. That's why sometimes, even when some people say, they like an alpha male who likes to take charge and do whatever, but sometimes they do things without observing because they like to just go ahead and go in. But then some women say they don't like the dudes that kind of sit back. But if you really understand a man, he watches you before he even gets you. He watches you when you're with your friends. He watches you when you're in a social gathering. He watches.
Yeah, that is
way
true.
before he even meets you.
Yeah.
And sometimes, sometimes y'all know it because when someone's watching you or looking at you. And this way it comes with how do I, can I approach a man? How do I let a man know that I'm interested? Because, I see he's interested in me. You can do things, little, small, subtle things, and men will pick up on that. But my mom said to me, she said, Louis, she said, one thing about you, you're just like your father. She said, you don't talk much. You are you can sit back and just observe everybody about everything that you do. I don't know where I get it from, but I would just sit back and listen to people. And I think that's where it comes from with what I do, because I'm great at listening. I know how to respond with the rhetorical response, meaning repeat what you say to me. And then, how we come up with some type of idea. But at the same time, that woman that's always at you, letting you know, I mean, come on. She letting you know she independent. She letting you know she letting you know I can do this by myself. Okay.
Take your hard-headed ass on somewhere
else.
I'm
going to be honest. I mean, statements like women growing old and alone.
Yeah.
I'm not built for that. I don't want to endure that. I know I don't want to be alone. If Armageddon comes and I need a bottle of water, I know I cannot go out there and fight men and lions and whatever y'all call wildebeest. So I'm humble enough to say I bow down to men. I yield to men. Okay. I don't understand women who sit up here and have this argument like they can challenge a man in his superiority. I mean, when we think about the tiers
and levels
and tiers,
the levels and tiers. It's God, Christ, husband, wife, child. And however you want to confuse that, because I feel people confuse everything, it really shows in your life. It's evident in your life. So, yeah, what you just said, Louis, valuable
Yeah.
information.
So I have a question. So I the one thing I did hear from Ben a lot was like the submit part. So and like for you, how would you want your significant other to submit? Because I hear it's very important to you and for cooperation. So how would that look in structure for you?
Oh, and
You,
for me
if you
too. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, you have to answer that
yes,
question.
Louis, both of
go ahead.
So,
Go ahead. You got it first, bro. Go ahead.
so for me, it's like being in a family. You don't miss a family if the family has not treated you right.
Mm,
You have no problem with up and going. But if a family embraced you, loved you, give you what you
That's
needed,
facts.
listened to you, and had an area where you can come to, where you can let down everything and be who you are, you're
Be human.
less likely to up and move and leave because
mm,
you're going to miss that. So reverse that back to the submission part. Submitting is not, you know, do what you want with me. Submitting, as you do to each other, is about building a place of understanding, love, growth, vulnerability, all those different things. You are less likely to leave that to go somewhere else to do something different if you know you got it all right in the pack. And that's why with submission to me, I really believe if a woman, I'm not submit, there's an issue with that, meaning she had issues in the past, whether if it's with her growing up, her previous relationships, all the necessary things. Because submission is not what the world say submission is. It's
right.
not. When a
Yeah.
man is able to provide and you allow him to put you in a position where you are the woman of the home, you are the matron, you are the leader in this family. Without you,
A
it
matriarch.
breaks down. Make her feel that way, and
Yeah.
she will succumb. And that's very easy. And it doesn't have to be done with words. And I always say you don't have to hit a woman, curse a woman, do all these necessary things to lose her. You could just neglect her.
Yeah. And
Neglect
you can
her,
just maybe not to
and
be
you
with
will
you.
neglect her, and you will lose her.
Yeah.
And that's why
That's
it's
true.
easy for a woman to say, "I'm not going to submit."
Okay.
So for me, it's like two things. Number one, like in terms of submission, it's being okay with or being and wanting to play your role and understand both have roles and parts. None one more important than the other. Both are because we're complements of one another. You know what I'm saying? It's like you need the heads and the tails. It's the same coin. It's just heads and tails, right? So understanding that we both have roles to play, and although they're different, and I think Marian said this last week, like 2 + 2 = 4, so does 3 + 1. Although our roles are different, we all sum to the same thing. We sum to to a
Yeah.
healthy relationship, right? So
True.
that's the first thing. And a lot of times women, in my estimation, what that means is the woman being the nourisher of the family. She nourishes me, she nourishes the children if we have those, she nourishes herself. You know what I'm saying? She has self-care, she nourishes herself because that's just as important as her nourishing me, probably even more important that she nourishes herself and then nourish me, because if she can't nourish herself, she can't nourish me, right? And that's in being sweet, being cooperative, all these things that I've been talking about. That's nourishment for a man. We need to be loved on in that way. So that's the first part, is playing her role, her role being the nourisher. The second thing is her being supportive and being okay with submitting the decision making to the other, to me as the man. You know what I'm saying? Like I would never be in a relationship where I just make a decision and totally negate what my woman has to say. I wouldn't be a good man. Like I don't think there's no great leader that doesn't have an advisory team or their number one ace that they go to in situations. And that's what your woman is supposed to be to you. Your counselor, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, every president has a vice president. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's what she is. She's my VP. You know what I'm saying? I go to my VP and we hash it out. And at the end of that, if there's, maybe we agree, maybe we don't, maybe we're wading the waters trying to figure it out. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, though, when the decision is made, her submission is, I support you. We're gonna run with it. Just like we playing basketball, they always say, you live or die by, when your star player takes a shot, You live or you die by it. You know what I'm
That's right.
saying? Same thing. Like, I'm the star player. I take the shot. If I miss it, then I miss it. But you still support me. If I make it, great. We can, celebrate and, do the wine, the champagne showers and all that. If I miss it, then, pat on the back, tough game. Let's keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? So again, those two components, that playing her role as nourisher and then supporting the decision and relinquishing the decision making, and the final say to me after we've kicked it around a while.
Okay, great answers. Thank
But
you.
You want to know how deep that is, what he just said? I'm going to take it to another level.
All right, let's go.
So think about this, because when a man do not provide a way, what he's supposed to do, right? When a man stops doing those things, a woman cannot be who she really is outside of the family.
Yeah.
She cannot.
So true.
She doesn't have a chance to show her talents,
Oh my God.
her nourishment,
That is
her
so
all this
true.
other stuff. And if a man cannot provide that umbrella, that safe place, that understanding that I need you, and you need me, and we need to make this work. If she leaves, that's why the independence thing is so easy to clamp on.
Yeah.
Because I can't do what I'm born and mastered and skillful to do. So I'll be this independent. I'll let money do all that for me.
Yes.
And that's why I said from a Christian standpoint, God knows what he's doing. A woman cannot be out there by herself. She cannot.
No.
It's too much. That's why she needs to be under that. But that safe haven needs to be provided from that male, from that understanding of what submission really is.
Yes.
Because her skill level is undeniable. And if she can't show it, she's going to go out there and do something different and show she's a different type of woman.
And that's so interesting,
you know what,
because I wanted to know why. I was in a situation like that before, and I wanted to know, why am I not activated? I have all of these gifts, but I can't tap into my gifts, and I can't do it with the utmost care. It's like I would be stirring a pot, but I wasn't stirring it with love. I would be making love, but I'm not feeling like I'm making.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right.
So
You having sex when I make love. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what's interesting? And what's interesting about what Lewis has said, I think that's beyond like biblical or like Christian. I think that's just a spiritual, like an innate kind of thing with, like I said, that's a humanistic, innate, foundational thing, because
spirituality means so much to me. That connectivity.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so for me, like even when you get down to like the biology of it, like life has to be created through the male and female principle. No matter how you slice it, y'all notice all these other genders and everything else. No matter how you slice it, it needs a male principle, female principle got to come together, and that creates life, right? That's, to me, that's, if you want to start talking about like what, spirituality, but maybe that might be a good topic for to have one day, is like talk about like some deep spiritual principles, whatever like that. Cause I have a little different understanding of some things, but at any rate, to my original point, the coming together of the two gender or the two foundational principles is what creates life. When a woman is pregnant, she's at her most nourishing point. She's literally nourishing life. Like she has life inside her that she's nourishing from her very bowel, from her very womb, right? And the man in that time, have you ever noticed like men start to gain weight, right? Put on pregnancy weight. What is that? That's you bulking up, because you need to, like, foundationally, you are in a protective mode. So again, these are innate biological principles that go from the physical to the emotional to the mental to the spiritual in every aspect. So again, to Lewis' point, this thing is deep. Like these ain't surface things. These are very deep principles, and that's why women, it's okay to be protected by a man, to be under his umbrella, to be under his final decision, whatever it is. Again, and that's why hypergamy is so pivotal. You got to choose right. You got to make sure that your value systems are on point. Don't be choosing a man just for some money, because a lot of men be out here just for money, and they're going to neglect all these other principles. Don't choose a man just because of looks. He's going to look, gonna miss all this. Don't choose a man even just for just because he's smart, or just because he's spiritual, or whatever. You need to be able to have a holistic view of your value systems. You need to hit every mark. And that's why it is, if you're going to be hypergamous, make sure that your value systems are on point.
Point, yeah, that's good that you say that, because even in some of my relationships that I was in, I always felt like that person wasn't quite the person for me,
Right.
because like, and I would tell my sister, like, mom, and I would literally tell my mom, and she was like, I was like, mom, I want a man. She was like, what is that? I'm like, I don't know, but it's something in me that's telling me that that's what I want. And so she was just, my mom was like, but you can, what did she say? She said, well, you can train him. And then I was like, I don't want to do that. I said, there's certain things that I do
we're
want
too
to
old to
do.
be training men.
I said,
Girls
but
do
yeah,
that.
but there's certain things that I want him to already come equipped with. Like I said, and that's what I want. And so she
How
was
old were you when you had that conversation?
Oh God, I was like in my late 20s, like maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like when we're young, we're going through the whole build a bear, take on the project. But at this age here, no,
it's
not.
like, and
Don't
my
come
whole thing.
over
I never wanted that whole project type of thing.
No.
But like one of my exes, I was like that with him. I was just like, okay, so you got to do what? All right, so this is what we got to do. So it was like I was the leader.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, in the relationship, I made all the decisions. When bills had to be paid, it was me. I mean, I would talk to him about it. I'm like, okay, so what? I think we should pay this right
what
here.
Was that doing to you in the process? Because sometimes
I was wearing the pants. No, I was wearing the pants in the relation. It was me who was leading the relation. Like it was me.
But what was that doing to you emotionally? Was that breaking you down because you weren't in your femininity?
Yeah, it really was. Like at first, I'm not gonna lie, at first I was allowing him to to lead, and I was, I would submit. But the moment I saw that he was not able to do it, I was like, okay, thank you. You tried. My turn. Let me show you how this is done.
So let me ask you ladies this thing, because that kind of brings up something interesting. How do you differentiate between, like, kind of to your point, like the build a ninja type mentality or the build a ninja option versus like a man that might have it together, but he's growing? Like, how do you differentiate between a man that is growing versus a build a ninja type, aspect?
There's a huge difference in that.
Yeah.
So a man who has what you just described, a foundation, and he's growing, he has everything organized, and he knows he has like a blueprint what he's getting ready to tap into, whether it be a business, going back to school, work, whatever it is. He's working at that. And he also finds balance to take care of everything else. And I don't have to instruct him on what to do.
Right.
He does it naturally.
That's like building.
With somebody, right, with someone who doesn't know what they're doing, they just come to the table, and it's like those memes you see with the legs all broken off because they don't even have a foundation. They can't take care of themselves. Why are you over here? Trying to take on a family, and then what? Make babies, impregnate me? No. So it's like for me, that's the difference. A man who actually has a structured plan for himself and says, babe, come stand on this foundation with me, hold this boat. Here's where I'm at. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to execute it in this amount of time. Because he does have a deadline. Goals have an end date. That's a very important thing. Right. Versus the other man who's just like, you know what? I just want to kick it. We're too old for that.
Right. But I also think like what he's like asking like for like a build a ninja. Like this is like, and I didn't been there because I didn't try to build a couple of just
ninjas everywhere. Ninjas everywhere.
So, and it's like he's like, oh, I want to go back to school. Okay, cool. Let's make a plan. I'm saying let's make a plan so we can figure this out. Okay, I'm gonna set these deadlines for you. Like, I need you to hit these deadlines. Hey, did you do that? And it's like, oh no. And you see the potential that they have in the person, and so you're falling in love with that potential of that person that you're trying to build to get them there. And then it's like, well, dang.
Yeah.
I want this more than you do. So therefore, I need to let me step back and go find me somebody who already has their goals and things like that together. Or they have a vision. All they need is a woman to come along with the plan to help them execute that plan. Or they have a plan, but they don't quite know how to get it pushed forward because it's just them. So it's a little different when you have somebody who has that mindset as opposed to somebody trying to get them to have that mindset. Like you're already there and they're just looking at you like, well, you so, and then that's when they call you like, you're so independent. You got everything going. You're always, and it's like, no, that's not it.
And I think in those aspects, what a man needs, yeah, it does. And so to both of y'all's point, what I'm hearing is, like you said, you need a man to already have the plan in place, the vision in place, and be moving towards it. What you need, and I think Maureen even mentioned this last week, like the woman comes along with the fertilizer, which is the encouragement, with the, maybe she sees like, to add on to the plan to help him build it. But, and for men, like that encouragement, let me tell you something. There is nothing more invigorating, nothing that is a bigger impetus for us in terms of like our motivation and our movement forward than a woman that is encouraging. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like,
yes.
Nations have been built and destroyed on a woman's encouragement. You know what I'm saying? So again, y'all have no idea how powerful that y'all know my most favorite invention. Y'all know my most favorite invention of creation is that thing right there. Y'all have
people have gone to war for that.
You have gone to war for it. Look, we create universes behind that thing. So again, y'all encouragement is definitely necessary. So
I can remember like an ex of mine for like 6 months straight. I sent him a video at least once a week, just to encourage him, just to let him know like what type of person he is, just to let him know that like, I'm here, I'm in your corner. And every day he would watch it and he would be like, you know what, that really encouraged me. You have no idea what that did to me, how my day shifted, how my day moved. Like my day went a whole lot better when I got that video.
Yeah, it really surprises me when I see an independent woman who is, tackling a lot of masculine energy, because I personally feel like there's some type of hurt that she hasn't remedied. There's some type of hurt that is within her that she just has not dealt with, some type of trauma. And until you deal with that, it's going to manifest in all of your relationships. And unfortunately, it may hinder you in having, what's meant for you. It does humble me enough to know that I'm not a pushover. I've been called even misogynistic. I've been called overly traditional. Yeah. Since I've started Purple Mic, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You are a Jesus. Yeah, you're a Jesus freak. I've been called so many things from this show, and oh my gosh, nobody's signing up for that. This is a feminist movement. I'm so humbled to be the woman I am today, and I can only say that Purple Mic has definitely been informative for me, and it's also given me the strength to know that these beliefs that I have within myself are exactly what I want to stand for, me personally.
Absolutely.
So I hope that, for other young girls and women, they'll do the same.
I think it's a beautiful thing. Like you had a platform, and to be honest with you, a lot of the principles that we espouse aren't just Christian, or what I'm saying, like aren't just biblical. Like these things span across all religions, and even just not even outside of religion, just spirituality. Like I don't subscribe to like one religion. You know what I'm saying? I call myself a universal spiritualist or a universal theist. But these principles just they span across all these things. That's why you should be able to get along with anybody with regards to these, and they apply to all of us regardless of what we are.
Nice. Absolutely. I want to thank all of you guys tonight for this amazing show. I'm so happy that again we can come together and not have combative argument. We know with Purple Mic it can go one of two ways. We can be disagreeable, some nights we'll be agreeable, but tonight was a beautiful conversation where we could just do exactly that, have the conversation. So Lewis, Lashana, Dr. Benjamin Moore, thank you so much for an incredible
Thank you for hosting.
And for those of you watching at home, thank you so much for staying on with us tonight. We appreciate all our Monday Night Live viewers. If you'd like to catch us in the future, we are live Monday nights on Facebook and Twitch at 8:30 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. We have our live watch parties. That'll be a wrap for us tonight, and we will see you guys next week. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Like, share out the video.
All that. Subscribe, like, comment, share, all that.
All that stuff.
Thank you for watching Purple Mic, guys. We'll see you next week tonight.